The story begins in a dimly lit room. Empty curtains soaked with tomato juice hang around, blocking out the daylight. In the middle of the room sits a pale vampire girl, her fangs glinting in the dark. She's hungry and starts crying. A young man nearby is focused on his game. Without looking at her, he tells her to stop crying. She says she's out of tomato juice, and without it, she might die of hunger. She keeps whining, and he gets annoyed. He tells her to just go drink someone's blood. As long as she doesn't get caught, it should be fine. She's shocked by the suggestion. Drinking blood without permission sounds wrong to her, so she refuses. He asks if she's ever drunk anyone's blood before. She happily says no, she only wants to drink the blood of someone she loves. She explains that, according to a manga she read, the blood of your true love tastes amazing. Just being near them is supposed to send shivers down your body. But before she can say more, she realizes he's already hung up on her. As a vampire, she dreams of falling in love with a human and drinking their blood for the first time. She wants to look her best for this dream. So she takes a cool photo of herself, edits it, and posts it online. She gets tons of likes and retweets. The attention makes her feel good, and the more attention she gets, the less hungry she feels. Since she's never tasted blood, she isn't confident. To distract herself, she becomes obsessed with beauty and fashion, talking about cute outfits, makeup, and hairstyles. The first time she posted a photo, the response surprised her. For the first time, she felt accepted as a vampire. Smiling, she tells herself once again that she's the cutest in the world. On her days off, she scrolls online looking for the next big trend. She finds a photo of a beautiful cake and decides taking a selfie with it will go viral. She posts the picture, full of joy, and gets ready to eat the cake when she sees a tweet notification. Thinking it's more praise, she checks it, but it's an insult. Her excitement vanishes. Now she's angry and embarrassed. Furious, she declares she will find the person who insulted her and expose their face. Taking on the role of a stalker, she gathers clues. The person wears a blazer and their last name is Sasaki. Confident, she goes to the streets to find him on his way home. While walking, she suddenly bumps into a boy. Angrily, she asks what he wants, but as soon as she sees his face, she freezes. Flustered, she quickly asks if he's okay. He says bluntly, "I'm fine." She quickly realizes this is the guy she's been searching for. Before she can scold him, he says, "You look better in person." The unexpected compliment leaves her speechless. Without another word, he walks away. Annoyed by how casual he is, she yells at him for not even apologizing. Then, something strange happens. A shiver runs through her body. Just like in her manga, meeting your destined lover is supposed to send a tingle through your body. Staring at him, she asks, "Can I suck your blood?" She had promised herself that she'd only drink the blood of someone she loves. And now, she's found her prince. Later, she shows up at his door. He opens it and looks at her, confused. Then realizes she's the same girl from earlier, and tries to shut the door. She stops it just in time and says she came to see him. Suspicious, he asks how she found his house. She casually explains. First, she found out what school he goes to. Then she asked a classmate for his student number. After that, she found his bike in the school shed and put a GPS tracker on it. That's how she got here. He's stunned. He tells her her actions are definitely creepy. She pouts and calls him mean. When he puts a hand on her shoulder, he notices she really looks upset. Thinking she's still mad about his earlier comment, he asks if she wants an apology. She immediately nods and suddenly hugs him. He's shocked and quickly pushes her off, demanding to know what she's doing. She cheerfully reminds him of his promise to do anything for her, but he says no, firmly. What he doesn't know is, all she wants is a sip of his blood. Oops, did we forget to mention? She's a vampire. Seeing the confused look on his face, she admits that drinking the blood of her soulmate has been her dream for as long as she can remember. She tells him that when they first met, she felt that unforgettable shiver. She knows the idea might sound scary, but promises it's more fun than painful. Smiling brightly, she asks if he understands. He gets up and walks away, thinking this is all a role play for social media. He tells her there's no need to keep acting now that she's in the real world, and says to keep the weird fantasy stuff online. She's stunned as he turns away. When she asks where he's going, he says casually, "To the store to buy a mobile game card," and tells her not to follow him. Naturally, she follows him anyway. At the store, she suggests a new idea. He should become a vampire too. She excitedly tells him that just one bite has a 99% chance of turning him immortal. He ignores her completely. Still, she continues, painting a picture of his future. He'd sip blood for eternity, have perfect pale skin, and never grow old. But he won't even look at her. She frowns, then tries something else. She fakes a stumble, hoping he'll catch her. He brushes her off again. Frustrated, she demands to know, "Why do you help a stray cat but won't even look at me?" She warns him that if he falls from the tree he's climbing, he might die. Finally, he answers. He says, "I don't think living a long life equals happiness." He has no interest in becoming a vampire. Moments later, he rescues the cat. But just as he does, the branch under him snaps and he falls. Before he hits the ground, she catches him in her arms. With a smug smile, she reminds him, "I told you this would happen." If she hadn't been a vampire, things could have gone really badly. Then she notices. He's not moving. Panicked, she checks on him and realizes he's unconscious. Without wasting time, she carries him away. When he wakes up, he finds himself in an unfamiliar place. She greets him happily. Startled by the situation, he screams. Confused, she asks why he's reacting like that. He can't believe it and asks, "Are we in a public park?" She says carrying him there wasn't easy and sarcastically asks if he expected her to fly, reminding him she can't. She's low on blood. Still thinking this is some kind of weird roleplay, he asks why she went through the trouble. She simply replies, "I couldn't just leave you behind." He reminds her, "I never even helped you." She smiles and calls him an idiot, saying, "I can't let you die." For the first time, her honesty catches him off guard. Calling her strange, he decides to repay her by buying her something from the store. He tells her to come along, and her face lights up with joy. Without hesitation, she asks for tomato juice, much to his disgust. Mission accomplished, she quietly thanks the cat for its help. Later that evening, as he scrolls through social media, his eyes widen in surprise. He sees a viral photo, her posing with the cat. At the very least, she clearly knows how to grab attention. Sasaki then asks if she's a bit of a loner. She just sips her juice in silence. He points out how she only shows up to buy juice, barely talks, and disappears like a juice-loving ghost. She snaps back, saying she has a squad. Unimpressed, he points out her Instagram is full of selfies and game posts and says she looks like a solo act. She tries to protest, but he grins knowingly. He's the only VIP on her friend list. Playfully, he adds, "That's kinda sad." Stunned, she freezes. He continues, saying, "None of your followers are actually your friends, right?" Flustered, she blurts out that she has plans to meet a friend this Saturday, without thinking it through. Then she quickly leaves. The truth? She doesn't have any real friends. The only person she regularly talks to is just an online gaming buddy. As she scrolls through her feed, she sees a post about an offline influencer meetup. She decides to join. At the gathering, she introduces herself. Everyone welcomes her warmly. Inside, she celebrates. Her intro went great. It's a group of modern influencers, trendy and unique. She wonders if she'll actually make a real friend here. Just then, someone complains about the smell of tomatoes. She's shocked. The girl speaking is none other than Fuyuko, a popular Instagrammer from Minato. With a sharp voice, Fuyuko says she wore a beautiful dress today and doesn't want it to get dirty. She explains that her brand is Bluish Winter Beauty and expects others to respect her style. Then she sneers, saying it's no surprise Miss Vampire isn't popular. Her selfies are gloomy and heavily edited. She even flaunts a designer bag she ordered from Paris. Miss Vampire wonders why Fuyuko is so determined to put her down, especially when their follower counts are about the same. Fuyuko coldly tells her she's in the way and that her presence will hurt the post's chances of going viral. She demands she step aside. Stunned and frustrated, Miss Vampire realizes she can't get along with this girl. Then she remembers what Sasaki said. Now's not the time to hesitate. With no more doubts, she walks away from Fuyuko, relieved to be rid of her. One of the girls in the group mentions that the night menu at a certain cafe is really popular. Curious, Miss Vampire asks her to repeat that. The girl explains that night cafes are stylish and make people's faces stand out in photos. Another girl adds that the place is trending on TikTok and needs reservations. Miss Vampire looks confused. Another girl smiles and says Miss Vampire is like a fallen angel who appeared in the internet world. She uploads photos with her favorite Nachon, or in front of altars. Miss Vampire is confused by the word altars. The girl kindly explains it. Another girl introduces herself as Faerun and casually mentions that she's always eating potato chips. Watching her, Miss Vampire immediately thinks she's kind of weird too. She asks if they've been to the cafe before and says she really likes the limited menu there. Suddenly, the angel-like girl smiles brightly and says she's a big fan of Miss Vampire. Stunned, Miss Vampire is overwhelmed with joy. Without thinking, she throws her arms around them in a hug. The fact that someone truly understands her fills her with pure happiness. She calls the girl an angel, and seeing their wild outfits and fun personalities, she genuinely wants to be friends. Just as the influencers gather for a group photo, Fuyuko turns to them coldly and says, "Get out." Miss Vampire immediately speaks up and asks why they're being excluded. Fuyuko explains that their outfits don't match the group's aesthetic, and if they're in the photo, it'll be harder for the post to go viral. She says everyone should be on the same level, and in her opinion, they don't belong in their influencer group. Then, she asks Miss Vampire what she would do if her follower count dropped because of them. Miss Vampire doesn't back down. She asks why they can't just take their own selfies with what they like. She demands to know, what exactly did she do wrong? How is she making things difficult for Fuyuko? Fuyuko replies in a condescending tone, saying she's just offering helpful advice. Angry and flustered, Miss Vampire finally snaps. "What's wrong with liking the things that matter to me? You have no right to judge." Fuyuko goes quiet, clearly shaken, then suddenly storms off. The other influencers try to stop her, but she brushes them off and struts away. The girls standing next to Miss Vampire glance at each other, confused. Miss Vampire apologizes for dragging them into the drama, but they smile and wave it off with a casual, "No worries, girl." Just when she starts thinking she'll be leaving without making any friends, the two girls invite her to a cafe. Her eyes sparkle as she happily accepts, already imagining Sasaki's face when she tells him she's made new friends. Meanwhile, Fuyuko is clueless. She has no idea that the two girls she insulted were actually top influencers, Hima and Farun. Later, Hima gives Miss Vampire some advice. She says love needs a bit of strategy if you want it to work. Miss Vampire listens carefully. Hima goes on, saying that even though she enjoys watching Miss Vampire's love story unfold, she can't stay quiet anymore. She asks, "Isn't it normal to want the person you love to love you back?" Farun joins in. She says Miss Vampire is banking too much on being rare. People only see value once something's gone. But right now, she has the same worth as cheap bean sprouts. Shocked, Miss Vampire stares, speechless. Then Hima delivers the final blow. Miss Vampire is banned from seeing Sasaki for a whole week. She freezes in shock, while Farron adds, "If pushing doesn't work, make him feel like he can't live without your attention." A week later, Miss Vampire visits Sasaki again. Right away, she notices he looks different. She asks if he's okay, then if he's been sleeping well. He replies that he's been having nightmares and they're keeping him up. Her eyes light up. Maybe this is because she ignored him. She wonders if he's been lonely without her. Excited, she asks him what the dreams were about. He just looks at her, confused, and says they were just nightmares. He even casually mentions thinking about getting an exorcism. When she asks where he's going, he tells her to go home for today and walks off, leaving her confused. That night, Sasaki falls asleep, and the nightmare returns. As he struggles in the dream, he suddenly hears someone call his name and wakes up in shock. His vision clears, and he sees Miss Vampire standing there, smiling. Realizing what's happening, he instantly grabs her and hangs her halfway out the window. Panicked, she screams, begging him not to drop her. He glares and demands to know, "What are you doing in my room?" Flustered, she quickly explains. He left the window open, and she came to help with the nightmares. She excitedly says she brought items like eye masks and other supplies, but this only annoys him more. As he starts to drop her again, she yells in desperation and begs him to wait. Then she stops suddenly, looks him in the eye and asks, "Do you know what's causing your nightmares?" He frowns. "What do you mean?" She asks, "Has something bad happened to your family?" He says no. She gasps dramatically and concludes, "Then, it must be because of me." He stares at her in disbelief as she explains her grand strategy, ignoring him for a week so he'd miss her. Watching her with a mix of confusion and amusement, he suddenly bursts out laughing. He shakes his head, calling her idea a terrible plan. Then, softly, he adds, "Still, I've never met anyone quite like you, not even in high school." She lights up and says she wants to experience school life too. He tells her it's not that great, but she beams and says, "If we were classmates, it'd be so much fun." She starts listing the things she would have done for him, like making him lunch every day. Getting nervous, he says she's clearly read too many shoujo manga. She doesn't stop. She says she would have even confessed to him under the cherry blossoms. He sighs and admits, "If you were in my class, maybe it wouldn't have been so boring." Overjoyed, she grabs the chance and begs him to take her to his school. He immediately refuses. When she asks why, he replies flatly, "Being seen with a self-proclaimed vampire is just embarrassing." He yawns, stretches, and tells her it's late. She should head home. The next morning, as Sasaki wakes up, he thinks back to the night before. He sighs. It had been tiring. But then he realizes something. For the first time in a while, he didn't have a nightmare.